Sarah, you know what? I've been thinking.
Oh, my, here we go. What's been on your mind, Renee? We all want to know.
Like I believe that. So I've been thinking, there are so many amazing stories developing right here in Fostoria, Ohio. And I can only imagine that there are very similar stories happening all over rural and suburban America. And these stories deserve to be told.
I wholeheartedly agree. But I'm sure that doesn't surprise you.
No, it doesn't. You should agree with me because I'm right.
Right. So what do we do about all these stories?
Well, we've got to make it our mission to tell them. They deserve a platform, and that's what this podcast shall be. I've decided.
Well, Renee's decided, and that's how it shall be.
Exactly.
Truthfully, you're right. I know here in Fostoria, we're all working together to make the most of a multitude of resources out there. Lots of people probably don't know about all the resources available to them. We could share all the resources we've capitalized on via this podcast.
That's what I'm saying.
Glad to know we're on the same page.
Yup. So buckle up, people, and enjoy another episode of Shut Up and Listen
Small Town Stories
with Sarah
and Renee.
I refuse.
Do you just want me to? I'll just do it.
No,
that would be.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Ryan Wichman. I'm their guest today. Looking forward to this.
This is what happens when we fight about who introduces the guest. He just does it himself.
I know. Well, he's so used to it.
I know. I mean, he's a news celebrity in
Local
our region.
celebrity, regional celebrity. I mean, we thought the mayor was big time on the couch before, but the mayor's got nothing on you.
Wow, this is nice. I like this. I
Yes.
get comfy here. Keep
Good.
going. Keep going.
Good. Okay, so since you've already introduced
Yes,
yourself,
you've taken care of it.
we're just going to
You're
jump
welcome.
right in. Thank you so much. So it was recently announced that Fostoria is looking to get an inclusive playground.
Fostoria is going to get an
Thank
inclusive
you.
playground.
Thank you.
Yes.
But we are doing this in partnership with Wood County Plays.
Yeah.
So I think it would be relevant for us to start with you describing and talking about what is Wood County Plays.
Yeah, Wood County Plays is an organization that my wife and I started now almost 5 years ago. It's a passion project of ours. Our son Grant, who is now 7 years old, he was 2 at the time, he has a very rare genetic condition called Schaaf-Yang syndrome. There's only about 200 kids in the world that we know of that have it, and it basically leads to low muscle tone, fatigue easier. It's very difficult for him to play independently on a playground. We took him to a playground where we live up in Perrysburg when he was 2 years old, and found out very quickly with his walker and wheelchair, most playgrounds are not designed for kids using those sorts of mobility devices. And the mulch, the stairs, there's obstacles everywhere. And we said there has to be a better way than this. And it turns out there is. To build an inclusive playground that's meant for everybody in the community. And so we started researching things like poured rubber, different types of equipment, different types of sensory things. And we found out that we can build a better playground. And so we were able to put together a board of like-minded family members from around Wood County. And we said, let's go ahead and do this. Let's build a playground that we think the community deserves. We took about 2 years of fundraising. COVID made it very fun and interesting for the first one. But we were able to raise about $750,000 for that first playground to build this play space. So that first one was in Perrysburg in 2021. We turned around immediately. The city of Bowling Green came up to us and said, listen, we love what you did here. We want a play space like this. And we said, okay, let's try and do it again. And somehow miraculously, we're able to turn that around in a year, another $750,000 to build another state-of-the-art, modern, inclusive playground. And we stopped for a minute as families. This is an all-volunteer organization, Wood County Plays, and we said, we need to catch our breath for a half second here. This is a lot of work, but we love doing it. And so in that time, we were able to regroup, look around, and we said, there's more in our hearts that we feel like we can give. We know there's more communities that need play spaces like this. And Fostoria was one of the communities that stepped up and said, we need one of these play spaces. And we thought, that's fantastic. Perrysburg's in the northern part of Wood County. BG's in the central part of Wood County. Let's build one that services families that live in southern Wood County, right here in Fostoria. Obviously a little bit tricky with the Seneca, Hancock, Wood County dynamic.
We're special here. We know it.
It's true. And so we couldn't be happier to be working to build the first truly inclusive playground here in Fostoria.
I would like to, because we've had conversations about this,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a valid point. What is the difference between accessible and inclusive?
Yeah, there is a big difference, because if you were to meet just minimum ADA standards, just for the record, you can't build a playground that's not non-ADA compliant. If you're a government organization, other things, every playground has to be minimum ADA compliant. But we want to go way beyond that, because that's minimum standards. An accessible playground means you can get around on it. You can use walkers, wheelchairs on it, but we wanted to encompass all families. And there were things that we didn't realize were needed on playgrounds as we went through this process the first time in Perrysburg. So one of the first families that we called were the Hogues, and they have a son who lives with autism. We don't deal with that in our family. We have a son who has mobility needs. And it turns out one of the things I learned about is there's a thing called eloping. A child, sometimes with autism or other sensory disorders, they get overstimulated on playgrounds and they want to run away. And so for her and that family, one of the more important aspects of a playground was fencing around it to help contain that when they get overexcited. So that's one way that we built upon it. So we have an accessible playground. Now we have one that's built perhaps for families living with members with autism. But what about other disabilities? Let's think about if you have visual impairments, how can we make a playground stimulating and exciting for those kids? Because at the end of the day, a playground isn't just a place that has equipment, it's a place that's genuinely exciting to go visit. As a kid, you want pieces of equipment that are fun. So we started putting musical equipment on the playground. We started putting visual stimuli on the poured rubber to say where danger areas are, where fun areas can be. We also started thinking about tactile experiences, which is what you feel with your hands. So we put different panels on there. So all of these things work hand in hand to kind of build layers upon, okay, it's not an accessible playground. It's not a playground that's meant for this one specific need or disability. It's meant for everybody in the community to come together. And we found that that's a really special thing. At first, we wanted to build a playground that was, kind of specifically for these kids. And we found out very quickly that if we build a playground that's meant for all kids and all families, it's not just those families who want to come to visit. Everybody can. Mm-hmm. And that really builds an incredible sense of community. And that's been one of the most powerful aspects of this journey all around.
Well, you talked about it's an all-volunteer board. How, quantify that for us. How big is your board? And then do you know, how many volunteers do you have?
So we utilize 10 members of our board. And again, they're just families. We don't have any salaries. I'm the president of Wood County Plays. I've never taken a salary. We've raised $1.5 million. And our total expenses come down to hosting a website, running events. I mean, we're probably talking significantly less than $10,000 out of $1.5 million to build 2 playgrounds. There's not many organizations, I think, that are run that lean. And so we really mean it when people donate to this. The money is going directly into the playground. It's not going to pay somebody's salary or do other things. It's going right into that playground. So we just want to make sure that everybody knows that up front. As far as volunteers go, we use a lot. One of the most exciting parts about doing these playgrounds is we've done them through an all volunteer build basis. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you can pay to have a playground company come in and build a playground for you. We think it's a more enriching experience if we literally have the community help build the playground with us. Mm-hmm. It's a frustrating experience, but mostly fun. No, it's great because at the end of the day, those volunteer members are going to turn around and say, I did that. Mm-hmm. And that is going to be something that lives on for a very long period of time. So what that looks like traditionally, those who sponsor and donors for the playground, we'll reach out to them first and say, listen, we're going to need, for Perrysburg, it was 150 volunteers over the course of 5 days. Mm-hmm. Usually there's 30 to 50 volunteers on site at a time, putting together the various pieces of equipment. And I like to quantify it as it's a giant IKEA set. If you've ever put together one of those cabinets,
that's where the frustration comes in.
all you have to do is follow the directions. But the problem is all you have to do is follow the directions, and you're like, which bolt goes? No, it's fun. It's a learning curve. It's really cool, and it is just step by step doing that. And so that's where the vast majority of volunteers come from, is from those donors and those sponsors, and then we'll have other community organizations that come in as well. We've had a number of trade partners that have helped out with some of our bigger structures. Obviously we need to be safe, building some of that, but the sweat equity that goes into building this is something that I think ingrains these playgrounds in the fiber of the community.
So thank you for agreeing to bring the next one to Fostoria. We are very, very excited. So you're embarking on your third playground, which is, probably not even something you really thought about when you rolled out the first playground. We
were going to be not surprised. We were going to be very gracious and happy if we were able to build one playground.
Right.
And so for this to have snowballed into something that it's like, oh yeah, we think we can do another one. And to clarify, yes, we are bringing our skills, our talent, our volunteer effort here to Fostoria, but this is just the beginning of a campaign. This is not a done deal. This is not something that, Wood County Plays is just going to come drop this in here. We are literally starting from scratch. Again, we are a bare bones organization, and when we come to a community, we need that community to lift us up as much as we're trying to lift them up with this playground. And so that's where the donors and dollars really need to come in.
So we're talking donors and dollars, and I know we'll touch on an event that's coming up here in Fostoria to help support the playground. But what does the process look like? So we have a location chosen, there's a rough design chosen, but what are those steps? What does this look like, the process?
Yeah, so we have to factor in a couple of things. Number one is we need to see which location makes sense. So for your Fostoria, it made sense because of a new awesome splash pad that's going to be going in at City Park, which is honestly the number one request. We put out a survey to our families last year, and we said, okay, we've done BG, we've done Perrysburg. What can we try to do as an organization that we haven't done yet that would be fulfilling for you as our families? And we have about 150 of them on our email server. The number one response we got back was a splash pad. And so when we came to Fostoria, we already wanted to come to Fostoria. And then when we found out there's a new splash pad, we're like, let's do we got really excited, even more excited about it. So the location, number one, you have to identify that before you can move forward. I think the next logical step is kind of thinking about, number one, what could a budget look like? Because you can build a playground for, let's just say $250,000, fairly bare bones, but a nice playground. Or you can go crazy and have fun and build a modern, state-of-the-art, coolest playground you've ever seen in the world, and everybody's going to want to come visit it. Wood County Plays Playground.
Our goal right there.
There you go.
I was like, give us the dollar amount for that.
Let's
shoot for the stars, yeah.
So that's what we want to do, and that's what we've always done. So it's going to end up being around $1 million. It's not cheap. It's a lot, and there's sticker shock to that. That's a lot of money. But this is going to be something that when people ever visit Fostoria, live in Fostoria, or hear about Fostoria, they're going to be like, oh, that's the place that has that playground, isn't it? So it's going to be something that is a beacon of driving people into Fostoria. So for people who want to donate or sponsor, what we've always done is we've always had a donor wall on our fencing. And so those are large circles and then a donor wall. And based on the amount that's donated, we put names, businesses, logos, what it might be, right there on the playground. Because for those people, those organizations, those businesses to believe in what we're doing and to give money, it sounds very basic if you've never lived in that world before, but that's a big leap of faith. That's a big trust factor. And we don't take that lightly, and we want to make sure that we're good stewards of those dollars and building something that the community can really be proud of. There's a lot that goes into it.
I have had the pleasure of sitting in on a few of your meetings now as we've kind of done this planning, and I can't tell you how much I have learned just from sitting in the meetings. Because we go to playgrounds, we see playgrounds, we don't identify some of these things. And I know one of the early conversations that took place at one of the meetings was about how these playgrounds aren't just used by children. And I think that needs to be touched on because you have adults that have autism and things like that. And it's not uncommon for them to use a playground like this.
We were about halfway through designing and getting the word out for Perrysburg when we realized there was an aha moment for us. We realized we're thinking so much about the youngest generation getting to use this playground. It turns out this actually unlocks a door for the oldest generation to also come out to playgrounds with their grandkids. So many times those playgrounds are, number one, very difficult to keep up with grandkids. Number two, there's a lot of trip hazards, which is a very big issue. Number three, there's not a lot of dual engagement that can happen at those playgrounds where the oldest generation can play with the youngest generation. These playgrounds that are inclusive have poured rubber surfacing on them, so there are no trip hazards. They have ramps on them, so even if your oldest relative is using a mobility device, they get to come up and play with the kids and share that experience and those memories as well. And so it really is a multi-generational event that gets to happen. I can't tell you when we're in Perrysburg and Bowling Green how many grandparents we see. You don't usually see that many at a traditional playground, and they all say, thank you. Like, I didn't know if I was going to get to play on a playground with my grandson again. We saw this, we came by, we gave it a shot, and they go, we love coming here now. It's a safe environment for all of the family, no matter what their abilities are. And so that poured rubber surfacing is one of the big aspects of it when we think about, okay, when we're designing a playground, how can we make this as accessible as possible? And so that's a big cost to it. There really is. That poured rubber is not cheap, but it's something that really will last a long time, and it's going to allow for everybody and anybody to use it without worrying about tripping. When we think about the designing of a playground too, we kind of took ourselves back and said, okay, as a kid, what was the number one, I'll ask you two, if you were designing a playground, if you were a kid on a playground, where do you want to go? What's the first place you want to go to on a playground?
The swings or the slide?
See, I must have been a danger lover because I love the merry-go-round that they took out of like every
the ones that go crazy
yes,
fast and
the
fast.
arm breaker. Yeah.
And so we wanted to make whatever the cool object is, whether it's a merry-go-round, whether it's the tallest slide, right? You always had to go running up to the tallest point on a playground, whether it's now we have zip lines, which are super cool. We wanted all of those to be accessible, because the minute you don't is the minute that kids will create differences. You'll create divisions where, oh, that's a place where they can't go, or that's a place where he can't go. And so we want to make sure that all of the cool stuff, like the tallest slides, the zip lines, and everything is completely accessible. We think about one of the things when we're really looking at this, I say, okay, let's say we have two kids in, let's just say, a third grade classroom. One of them is developing a little bit slower than their peer, but they want to go have a birthday party and they want to invite all their friends from school. Where can they have that birthday party that not only their friends will enjoy, but they can succeed and enjoy it as well? And building these playgrounds opens that door up where now their kids are awesome and excited. And not only that, but we don't just have like one zip line where there's a rope swing and it's really fun. We have a rope swing zip line and a molded bucket seat zip line. So it's an adaptive seat zip line, and they can both go side by side. So those two friends at school, they might have different abilities, they can still race together. Now we have a handicap accessible merry-go-round. Now two friends of different abilities can do the merry-go-round together. And so we're really trying to open this up, not just for, oh, well, one group of kids can play over here and another group can play over here. We want them mingling, interacting together because they are peers. Just because they're developing different doesn't mean they are different. And breaking down those barriers that sometimes can be viewed as, differences the older you get. Kids don't see that. Kids just see that, oh, well, that's Renee. Hey, I know her from school. Instead of it being, oh, that's Renee, she can't go over here. Instead it's, come on, let's go to the playground. Let's all go play together. And so by building those connections and fostering that development at a young age, we're now taking down what could be viewed as a barrier as you get older and starting to understand differences at a younger age. And I think that that's going to be something that will pay dividends decades from now in this community.
Agreed.
And just so you know, there are multiple people a day that probably see me and go, oh,
there's
that's
Renee.
Renee.
I was going to make a joke and I was like, no, let's not turn it.
You should have. Anyway, that's me on my soapbox. That's us getting very philosophical. But when you get down to it, these playgrounds are much more than just, oh, we're going to play. They can do some really cool things.
And I love how passionate you are about this. The entire group is so passionate. I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about there is a local person that serves on the Wood County Plays Board that was a big advocate for this project.
Kristen.
Yes.
Yes. She has been a wonderful advocate for all the playgrounds. She really has been, and as the preschool coordinator up in Perrysburg, we brought her on board because we wanted that age perspective as well. And after we get on with Perrysburg, she's like, tapped me, she's like, hey, what about Fostoria? And I'm like, I love that idea. Bowling Green just reached out to us, and they had some funding already available. I'm like, and then as soon as we're done, before we were even done with BG, she's like, what about Fostoria? And I'm like, all right, let's give it a real look at it, and it made total sense. And I think that's really important because there are a lot of towns, the Perrysburgs, the Finleys, the Tiffins, the larger communities. Fostoria is a town that gets looked over a lot because it's in a little bit of an awkward geographic location between Wood, Seneca, Hancock. It kind of gets split trifecta that way. I've heard from a number of people in town here who say how grateful and excited they are that we're bringing attention from the whole area back to Fostoria. And I'm really glad that we're going to be able to kind of do that and make Fostoria more of a destination too.
Yes. And that's Chris Van Kuren Coaster, owner of Calico Charlie's Candy and More.
Yum.
I had to put that.
That was a good plug. And former Launch Fostoria Business Contest
We'll be back right after these commercials. No, I'm just kidding.
Co-starter alum. We could go on and on and on with her local credentials. But anyway, we'll go back to the playground.
And wonderful advocate as well. You won't find anybody, obviously, who's as passionate about making sure that kids have what they need as she does.
Yes. So, we need money. So what are the next steps locally to raise this money? I know, Renee, you've been very involved. We need a lot of money. You heard Ryan say we need $1 million, which we know we can do. We've done before for other projects. The splash pad is a great case in point. This community really shines at coming together to support one another and to support important projects. So tell us what's coming next here in Fostoria.
We got a fun night coming up.
Night of Play.
Yeah, we have our Night of Play, which is our Wood County Plays kind of gala, if you will. But I don't like that term. We like to think of it as just a raucous, fun night where, of course, you buy it. You can buy a table, buy a ticket, come visit it. And this year's theme is going to be Monopoly.
Ooh.
So we like to have a little bit of fun with it. So tables are priced or grouped categorically based on the colors on Monopoly board. There's Boardwalk, there's Park Place, there's Baltic Avenue.
Yep. There's you hit the range there between Boardwalk and Baltic, but yeah.
But everything in between. But
everybody,
Pacific, Marvin Gardens.
Yeah, but I mean it's something anyone that wants to participate can.
Absolutely, and we want them to be able to come and participate. So we have individual tickets at $50 a piece because we still need to raise some money, but we're trying to put it in a price point too where hopefully that more members of the community can able to come visit. And for businesses that are out there, we have higher dollar amounts for sponsorships for the actual event as well. And then that gets you tables where you can bring clients, you can bring your workers, employees, and have them come have a fun night out on the town where we take care of the food. There's going to be drinks there, of course. We play fun games. We have a live auction. It's not your gala event where you're going to sit there just at your table all night long and have a prim and proper dinner. We're going to get you up. We're going to get you moving around. It's going to be a very engaging evening. And we usually use that as a night where we also show some of the sneak preview photos and videos of what the playground's going to look like. We already have a couple of them kind of floating around, but we get into the nitty gritty, really cool stuff first at that night. So for those that want to kind of get the scoop before everybody else, to be in the know.
All right,
that's a good night to be at too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know on your Facebook page there's information on how to get tickets and how to donate and all of those things and be involved. If somebody wants to already sign up to help build the playground or get involved or learn more about Wood County Plays, what's their best course?
So we have a website too, wcplays.org, so it stands for Wood County Plays, wcplays.org. On there you're going to find a bunch of information. Most importantly about our playgrounds. Second most importantly, how you can donate. We accept that. We love that. And how you can get involved is we have an email address, info@wcplays.org. for those that are looking to volunteer. So that's going to be step number, I like to call it like step number 592. Yes. And we're on like step 14. So finding volunteers to help build the playground, I always say is the easiest part. Yeah. You tell people, hey, we want you to come help build an inclusive playground. Like, you're going to find people. That's not the hard part. Raising the $1 million is obviously what we need to get to make that happen. So we've got to kind of get that before we can end up getting the volunteers. So either way, if people are feeling passionate, they want to help, we also have what we call our community champions. So if somebody out there is listening and saying, well, listen, I don't have a lot of money, but I feel very strongly that Fostoria does need this playground. I know a lot of people. I could help out that way. We love that. Reach out to us. We know basically a community champion is somebody that we say, hey, we've got Night of Play coming up, or we've got another fundraiser coming up because we've got more that will be coming, and we need to help spread the word about it. Can you be an advocate for us? Absolutely. And so if somebody out there is listening and saying that's how they could probably best help, because I get it, not everybody's in a position to financially help out. We want to make those people included because, again, this is an entire community get-together.
Very good.
People could also reach out directly to our offices and ask to talk to me.
Or that too.
Or you can reach out to Chris
Toaster.
because she is also...
Do people know her around here?
I think a few people have heard her name.
Just a couple.
I mean, they're still feeling her out, seeing if she's legit.
That's right.
But yeah, there are some local individuals that if you're more comfortable reaching out to us, feel free to do so. And we'll put you in contact with Wood County Plays directly.
So anybody who donates, any business, any individual, any family, because we've gotten a number of in memoriams or in honor of, or people do it for Christmas presents or in honor of birthdays or other things. Anytime a donation is made over $500, that name, business, organization is guaranteed to be on our donor wall at the playground. So it kind of starts at $500, and then the more you donate, we'll upgrade you to individual circles that'll be on that fence as well. So if people are looking to donate, they're not necessarily interested in Night of Play, they can also go on the website. There's a big bar on there. We call it the gift of play, because that's what you're gifting. And there's donation dollar amounts. You can learn a little bit more on there as well. But if you do sign up for Night of Play, let's say you own a business here in Fostoria in the area, and you're like, I'd like to donate at the $1,000 level for one of the tables. That qualifies you to be on the playground as well.
Okay.
So there's kind of an incentive there that long term, your donation will be recognized.
Okay. That's good to know. I didn't know that the donors of Night of Play, at a certain level, it does transfer to the playground.
Absolutely,
Very nice.
because they are donating to the playground. Yep.
Okay. And Night of Play is when?
January 27th.
At?
Stacey's
Place.
I thought you were talking about what
Plaza
time.
Drive.
What time? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know.
We're
Sometime in the evening.
We'll
There you
save
go.
you. We'll save you.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate
Yes.
that.
Yes.
But since it's Monopoly themed, I've been told I need to go find like a top hat, maybe like a monocle or something. Yes, have a
Do
little fun
you
with
know
it.
how many people have asked me that question? Do I need a top hat and a monocle? Why, yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Yes, we encourage dressing
Yes.
up. I want to see if a table shows up as like all the tokens or what, like the little pieces.
That would
That
be
would be
nice.
good, right?
Yes.
We could have a lot of fun.
We're currently working on the chance card aspect of things. Who will go to jail? Who will get out of jail free?
Ooh, I like this.
Now, it's going to be a good time.
Or who doesn't get out of jail free,
Yes,
maybe more
Yes.
importantly.
That's who would people want to see in jail, or maybe not? So then they have to pay to get them out.
That's right. Free parking.
It's all about the children.
What
and the
kind of
playground.
gifts will be in the community chest? We just don't know.
Oh.
I don't know
I like
either.
it.
But
It's going to be
I'm
a
looking
great
forward to it.
time. Yes.
So this is kind of our big kickoff fundraiser. We're gonna have some more. We're gonna do them at all dollar levels, so as much of the community as possible gets involved. But again, if you want to be the first one in and show your support for this playground right from the get-go, Night of Play is gonna be where you want to be, and you're gonna see that community start to get together. We're looking forward to it.
Yes. Well, so
We
are
are
we.
as well.
So are we. And, I just thank you to you and your wife for seeing a need and then really working to make it happen and bring it to fruition. And, you started with the goal of a playground that could, meet the needs of your son and, other people in that community. And, sometimes we don't always look back and appreciate how far things have come, but, you're rolling out your third playground, and I'm sure this isn't going to stop here, but I just commend you for all that you've done to make this happen.
Thank you. We've had a lot of community support. We've had a lot of incredible board members. I say to them about every meeting that I can, we just essentially made cold calls to people that we'd kind of heard about, and somehow we put together this board that's able to drive together and to do this. And so we don't take that for granted. We know how lucky and fortunate that we are. And if we're able to continue to spread this gift like we hopefully are to Fostoria, we want to continue to be able to do that. So thank you. And you're right. We're gonna keep driving down this mission.
I think anybody that listens to you for more than 2 minutes realizes that this isn't going to stop. So yeah.
You're so passionate about what you do, and to echo Sarah's comments, thank you for doing what you do, and the board. And thank you for coming to Fostoria.
Of course.
We've talked to so many people that are so excited, and we appreciate you believing in the community and seeing the need and being willing to step up and help us accomplish that.
Couldn't be more excited. I can't wait to break ground, start seeing the equipment come together. We've got a little time for that to happen, but you can see how it's going to happen, and it's going to be really cool.
Yes, it is. So again, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
And
thanks for letting me sit on the couch.
Absolutely.
This is great. This has been fun.
More than anything, thank you for doing your own introduction. It was priceless.
You really saved us, so we didn't have to worry about your name pronunciation, or
Yeah.
do we have to give your other job credit? Because you are a local celebrity. It's a lot.
I mean, I used to get nervous when I'd see you.
I know. When I heard I was going to be on the podcast, you see my hands. I think did I hold it together all right?
Yes.
Thank you. I get nervous when I'm in front of a camera, so thank you.
Oh yeah.
You two are very gentle. I appreciate
I mean, if we were nominating for a podcast Emmy, you would.
Oh yes.
You would be right up there.
That'd be a great idea.
Podcast.
Guest awards. The Shut Up and Listen. The SUP. The SUP awards.
The SUP awards.
SUP. It really should be like SUL, but that wasn't that great. We'll
move
discuss
on.
later. But thanks, you spawned a great idea.
That's what I'm here for.
All right, well, thank you so much, and
Of course.
I'm sure we will see you many times during
I hope
this
so.
process.
I hope
Yes.
so. It's going to be a journey.
Yes. So this concludes another episode
Of Shut Up and Listen
Small Town Stories
with Sarah
and Renee.